Hey YouTube, it's Richard with Through the Haze Survival. Today I'm going to be going over natural cordage. This is cordage that you can make from plants found around you. Specifically for us today, we're going to be using the yucca plant, and we're going to go take a look at what that looks like out here. We have about 5, I believe, different varieties of yucca. The one today is going to be the Spanish dagger yucca, or just the dagger yucca, and we have some right here near camp. So we're going to go take a look at the plant, and then we're going to collect some and process it down for cordage. So stick around for that. So right here we have the dagger leaf yucca. You can see right off the bat on the leaves, it's kind of stringing out like cordage. You can tell it's a fibrous leaf because it has these strings that are already coming off of it. The leaves are pretty thick too, and they're very sharp at the end. So we're going to collect some of this. I'm going to use the gardening shears that I typically carry around with me. I'm going to collect probably 3 or 4 of these leaves. We can do it with one, but I'm going to try a new technique for processing it down, and then we're going to see how to get the individual strands out, and then how we can turn it into reverse wrap cordage. So let's cut some of this off and we'll get to it. I'm going to cut it off down here. Again, watch out for the spines from the other leaves. It's kind of hard to pick it up, but it's very sharp. I think I'm just going to try it with 2. And close up the shears. Grab these 2 leaves. And you can see on the ends, hopefully, maybe if it'll focus, you can almost see all of the little fibers in there, and that's what we're trying to get at. Okay. So we've got our 2 individual ones. Usually when I've taught this in the classroom, I'll bring out spoons, and with the spoon you can scrape off all the meat on the outside and you'll start to break down the fibers. Right now I'm just going to try to beat them against this rock and see if they'll come apart. If not, we'll just start peeling them, because I didn't bring a spoon with me. So let's try to break these fibers apart so that we can get down to some of the base fibers and then start reverse wrapping them together. Alright, so we've started to break it apart a bit. As you can see, you can now see a lot of the fibers internally. The next part is pretty easy. I'm just going to use one of these leaves right now. I'm going to pull it all the way apart down the seam, center. Now, here's a tip. If you leave the sharp point attached to some of this internal fiber, then you can use the sharp point as a needle and the fibers to repair your clothes or your gear or whatever you might need it for. Right now we're not going to do that. We're just going to do some cordage. So let's pull this apart. Most yucca leaves, from what I've seen, maybe all yucca leaves, are fibrous like this. And there's other plants as well. I'm just going to pull these down to their base fibers, and you will turn your hands green with this, so if you're not getting dirty, you're not doing it right. And I don't recommend just grabbing it by the top and then pulling it down. I recommend kind of slowly bring it down. That way you can get these long, thin fibers. That's what you want. You want to get some of these thin fibers. And we'll keep breaking it down. We'll get some more of these. You don't need a bunch. What you're trying to do is make some cordage, some twine out of this. So I've got this thick piece that I can break further down into thinner pieces. Several thin pieces right here. And typically it's not going to come apart perfectly. It's not going to be a whole bunch of long strands. It's okay if you get some short strands. Just break it apart. So now I've got several individual strands, various widths, and what you want to start to do is just kind of wind them together until it bites. You see I've got a little bite right there. So what I'm going to do is what's called reverse wrap. I'm going to twist each piece of the yarn one way and twist the whole twine in a different direction. So because it's already started to twist this way, I'm going to twist this away from me, or towards me rather, and then twist the whole thing. Let me twist up this one. Away from me, towards me, away from me. Twist this towards me, away from me, towards me. And you know you're doing it right if you can hold just one of the ends and the whole thing does not come unraveled for you. You can see it's twisted together. It looks just like twine. You just keep doing that. Twist the yarn towards you. Twist the whole thing away from you. It takes practice, but you can get pretty quick at it. Now, this piece, one tiny little piece, you can't do much with that. You know, you're not going to be able to fix gear or tie up your shelter with it. So, how do we make it longer? Well, basically going on the same principle, but we need to get a few more strands before we do that. So I've got the piece I was working on, and I grabbed a few more fibers, kind of bundle them up together. Let's put them with this one. I'm just going to twist it all together. See. Make sure I twist it the right way. Twist the yarn towards me. And the whole thing away from me. Yarn toward and away. Toward. So each time you blend some in, you're going to end up with a short end and then a longer end. Your short end is where you're going to blend in your more fibers. You can see it's already blended in there. It's not coming out. And you're just doing the same thing. Just intertwining them together. Now, of course, it got to a point where pioneers had made tools with wood and cranks and stuff where they could just make this easily. All they had to do was put the material in and kind of splice it in there. But you can see right there, got a nice strong piece of cordage made out of natural materials. Let me go over to the shade, maybe you see better. It's reverse wrapped. You'll have this little tail. You can cut the little tail off. It doesn't really matter. That's just the end from where I spliced it together. But you just keep reverse wrapping it, and then you'll continue making the cordage, and it's pretty strong, especially yucca fiber. And you can make it as long or as short as you need it. It's natural material, so it's everywhere. It just takes a little bit of work. And if you have like arthritis in your hands, it can get a little annoying, a little painful, but I mean, you can see it's pretty easy to do. It's a pretty simple process. I'd recommend going out and trying it if you can. You know, it depends on what materials are around you. Some barks will strip off into fibers. I don't know where you're at. I grew up kind of up in the northern part of the United States, in northern Illinois, where our environment was completely different than what we have out here. So I've kind of had to relearn things and learn new things out here. But this is something that's universal that you can do wherever you're at. So I'd recommend going and at least trying it out. It took me a few tries before I actually learned how to do the reverse wrap, but once I got it, I mean, it's in your head, and you can pick up a few strands of vine or something like that and do it. But yeah, useful skill to have, some natural cordage. So thank you again for joining me. Like I said, natural cordage is a pretty easy skill to learn, and it's a good skill to know. You know, you can run out a 550 cord or a jute twine or whatever, and being able to make your own is just invaluable. So go ahead and go out there and try it out. Thanks again for joining me. Like I said, come join us on Facebook and not Twitter, but Instagram. Give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, follow, all of that good stuff. And please come join me outdoors.